Thank you, Jeff, for doing that. All right.
So we had a general kickoff a couple weeks ago, similar time, kind of calling for projects both on the service side of this grant and the informal kind of bricks and sticks infrastructure side. This is what, year 4, all time in the pandemic is weird.
Yes.
And we got 2 bonus years of money because of because of COVID. So, so we've got some interest. Alicia, any advice on how you wanted us to just kind of run through it? Did you want us to run through these? Did you?
So we can run through them by one, and if folks are from any of the organizations, they can chime in to answer questions or talk about their project. I don't know if anybody is here from Grace Assembly, and I didn't see anybody on the call.
There's no one in the room, and Jeff Weichel from IT, if anyone goes into the council chamber, will you let us know so that we can get them up into the conference room that we're sitting in?
I will do it.
Look, there he is. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think one theme you'll see here is that on some of these, we may ask for some refinement to come back. Alicia, there's nothing keeping us from continuing to receive proposals or refine proposals, is there?
That's correct. So the deadline, so everything has to be turned into HUD no later than August 15th. If it doesn't get turned in by then, the city misses out on the funds. And so thinking kind of, Molly and Kevin, I know we've all talked about the timeline, but just to give everybody on the call, there also has to be a 30-day comment period on the action plan before that turn into HUD, as well as another public meeting to kind of tell people in the community what you want to fund as a community.
Right.
We can still accept applications. The action plan to be approved by HUD needs to have specific projects in mind. And organizations that it wants to fund. So we can receive applications with the thought of, we still have to be able to put this together and get it submitted to HUD. So, there's that caveat. So there is quite a bit of refinement on some of these applications. So I'll start with Grace Assembly of God. They want to do a public facility improvement to offer different types of programs in their application. That included having businesses, it included having a fitness center, just a general community center. I pulled out in the project description one particular area that is an eligible activity, which is to provide youth services. It's zoomed in.
I'm
Okay.
Sorry.
So it's line 2 in Excel, but it's the first application.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah.
Are we good?
Perfect.
Perfect.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. So they're looking to serve Greenwood. They did mention serving people in Whiteland, but they would need to understand that the project would need to be prorated to serve Greenwood residents. It seemed like they had a lot of great ideas. Their budget, they didn't complete a sources and uses budget. They had a budget in the application that mixed equipment and operating of the facility, which those are ineligible expenses. They have been a recipient before. They provided rent assistance, which was a different type of project than what they're looking to do. And it's unclear how shovel ready this project is. So they are asking for $100,000. And I have a $2 million budget. We don't know how much is secured. I don't know that from the application, I couldn't glean how much is going to be operated by Grace Assembly or if outside agencies would be operating these programs. There wasn't any letters of support for the project. So it was not the strongest of applications.
Yeah, I'll take it from here. I think the big challenge on this is if they're gonna build a building, which I do when I'm not doing CDBG, yes, the other way, yeah, that's CDBG, as you know, Alicia, my #1 deal. They're not gonna wanna use Davis-Bacon as a church, they're gonna use some self-help service, who builds churches, and it's definitely not gonna be, under federal procurement, guidelines. So I think on this one, yeah, it's just a bit early in the process. I know there's nothing submitted to our planning and zoning department, and also I think it would not behoove them because they can't segregate out $100,000 to fund federally and then do 1.9 locally. So that's just my initial take on it is that we feedback to them and say, hey, we're all for the idea, but I don't think you want to get federal funds involved in your building project.
Okay. Okay, so let's just do an overview of the projects. And Alicia, can we skip to Gateway Services, which is the third project down, because I know Becky Allen with Access Johnson County is on the line.
Yep, absolutely. So hi, Becky. Great application. I mean, very organized. This is probably one of the strongest applications, except that it's not an eligible cost to buy vehicles under the CDBG program.
Too bad, so sad.
I know, right? What is eligible under CDBG is transportation services. They don't go into that. So it could, we could fund a project out of public services that covers transportation costs for Greenwood low to moderate income residents. Or paying for fares for those residents, those types of things, but unfortunately we can't, and it's federal funds, so I wasn't even sure if it would count as the match that you needed.
Well, the interesting part about public transit is all federal funds can match public transit funds, which is weird. I know the only one that can't is Head Start funds. It makes no sense to me. Sorry. So, but you don't do operating either, is that correct?
It's got to be a direct service. So with CDBG, we call it public services or social services. It's called, we could do transportation services. So we could cover, cost of fares that you would normally charge to those residents and give them free fares. And the CDBG would pay the transit services, we could do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to, and this is this really strong application, I would like to try to see if there are some ways that we could, even if it's not fare based, which I believe it's not, I believe completely free, correct, Molly? Access Johnson County is.
I don't know. Do you charge fees?
No, everybody pays a fare, somebody pays for them.
Oh, everybody pays fare. So I would love then to look at that if that's something you're interested in providing this transportation. I know I've heard stories of you guys getting people to doctor's appointments and things that there's literally no other way. And so I think this is a refinement type situation.
Yeah, for people in Greenwood, Becky, I think more people have your cell phone number than anybody in the entire county. Am I right about that?
It feels like it.
So Becky, what also would help too, like if you provided transportation for, like if you wanted to do a program that was just seniors or just people with disabilities, we can presume benefit. So there's some flexibility in using CDBG funds rather than making sure they do income verifications and things like that. So we can talk offline about how to kind of think about when you're looking at fare-based applications and having CDBG cover those kinds of things. We can talk about some of those flexibilities if it makes life easier.
Well, I might have
Okay,
software
so,
that can pull out seniors and disability. I just don't have low income. I can't pull that out, but seniors and disabilities, that's easy.
Yep.
perfect. So you two will connect after this call to refine this, correct?
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. Thanks, Becky.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, Alicia.
All right, I'll hop
Kevin?
back up to Heaven Earth Spaces. I had talked to them a few months ago about strengthening their application from last year. It definitely was a better application. They have a building in Whiteland and it's just not waterproof on the inside. So some of their office space in the lower level is just kind of gets pounded. The windows are not able to keep it in. So they're wanting to do window replacement and tuck pointing on this old structure. It's in Whiteland. They estimated they possibly serve about 200 people from Greenwood. The challenge with this one is they haven't really secured organizations and nonprofits to work in the building that would serve Greenwood residents. So I'm not sure where they get that number. They had mentioned, I believe it was Recovery Cafe, Girl Scouts of America, great programs, but those are both programs that I'm not sure if Girl Scouts actually tracks income to show that they're working with low to income, moderate income young people. Recovery Cafe, I know, has had some challenges with other communities meeting that low income requirement for the people they serve. So, I mean, that's a challenge. I mean, it's a great project, but will they serve how do they figure out the Greenwood residents, and will they be low to moderate income residents?
They have Resources of Hope in their basement that serves foster kids. Is that
They would
a,
it depends. For youth, they have to verify the income of the household. If they're
okay,
still wards of the state, we can probably call them unaccompanied youth, but usually with HUD, unaccompanied youth are homeless youth.
got it.
They're wards of the state. They live with guardians or foster parents.
Right, so we have to verify income for Resources of Hope.
Yes.
Okay. So this is one that we need to circle back and better understand. But basically, they purchased a church, a 150-year-old church. It's right across from Whiteland High School, I believe.
By the Dairy Queen.
By the Dairy Queen. So the tornado went right through their backyard. And so they were set up as the resources for anyone from the tornado and have been serving Whiteland pretty heavily in the disaster recovery. That notwithstanding, their whole vision before the tornado was to establish this building as a community center and serve the public. And I think, if I recall correctly, Alicia, about half of the people they serve come from Greenwood proper.
I don't know the answer to that because I didn't see that in the
Okay.
application of the total that they served.
Okay.
So
It may have been in emails back and forth or something that I saw that.
So kind of going to Kevin's point earlier on the Grace Assembly, so there's going to be challenges with Davis Bacon, and then as you mentioned, it's a 150-year-old church. So I don't know the details of their construction budget. They just put general renovation. I don't know that they've had historic review on this. So to do windows and tuck pointing, we're going to have to get it past the State Historic Preservation Office. So I don't know if they have a contractor or someone that's kind of walked them through those steps. So whatever their costs they're estimating, I know it's going to jump.
Okay.
It's again, to me, and And even though they are in Whiteland, it's close enough to Greenwood that it is served quite a few people. But it's again another follow-up and dig deeper on that.
Yep. Okay, so we need to get more information from them and get them more information. Okay. Our next one is Bridges Alliance of Johnson County.
So I wanted to talk about this one in detail a little bit more. I'm looking at my notes up on my, where'd it go? Okay, up on my computer here. So the CPD roundtable had occurred last month and kind of sent ripples through the Indiana community, the PJs in the community, because they came back, and I have a follow-up note from them, and basically I'm reading verbatim: staff costs to administer case management are not an eligible CDBG expense. Case management involves providing referrals to other sources of assistance, following up with homeless persons to determine their progress and becoming independent. The CDBG program does not monitor the progress of an individual. It may pay for public services such as direct treatment like mental health counseling, money management, budgeting classes, and job training. So the Circles program has where there's some mentoring and connections to other services, but they also do financial literacy. And if we can narrow that part of the program down, I think we can talk about it being an eligible CDBG expense if we're talking about financial literacy and job training, that kind of thing. But if we're just talking about the mentoring and referrals to other programs, I think that's going to be a bigger challenge to make it CDBG eligible. They're a current provider.
Right.
So I'll have to monitor them for this year. We got our first invoice from them paid this week for the program year that started way back in October. So there's been some bumps in the road as we've been trying to kind of get them ready federally. Last year I monitored them. They had 5 findings last year, have not yet monitored them. And, they made some repetitive mistakes in their submission of invoices this year that, they should have known from last year. So, yeah, I think they're a good program. I think we just, again, we need to tighten it up as to what is CDBG eligible versus what is not.
And it was the HUD people who changed the qualifications. So case management, they just changed they just made that ineligible recently. So Bridges Alliance doesn't know that. But Kevin had an interesting idea.
If you get down to we fund an administrator, correct, Alicia? If you get to the actual circle leaders, who I know they have trouble getting to be volunteers, if you were to pay them to actually do the money wise classes, or whatever you want to call them, financial awareness, literacy, does that get you even more direct, essentially?
Well, it's the program itself. So that's
I know the program itself, but what I was saying is if you delve down into elements of the actual people who are leading the circles, if they are providing financial counseling into that, and you provided that, would that get you closer?
Right, that's what I was saying, is that's what we want to talk about. We can pay for the coordinator, the executive director. What we're trying to do is, how do we label this program? What type of program is it? What type of direct service are they providing to the low to moderate income individual?
All right.
Sounds good.
Okay.
The next one I really like, Alicia, so you better be nice to it. You know that Molly and I have dance parties every day.
Daily.
In my office. I just
Somehow I
screamed
knew
in.
you did.
Yes,
And
We're-
seniors, I get it.
yes. So this is Stage 1 Dance Academy, who has started a nonprofit separate from their business to take dance and movement to senior facilities throughout the county.
Love it.
If any of you know Katie Stallhut, she is a dream. And she was all excited. We went through Leadership Johnson County together, and that's how I met her. And so she said, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I started this new program. And she started a nonprofit. And so this is to expand their movement program. I don't even know if they call it dance.
Yeah,
For seniors to more locations.
yeah, talk about flexibility and
Yeah.
other words, and
So I'm trying to think
balance.
of,
All these things are very important.
yes, so, and it's free to all participants. And I know right now they do this at Greenwood Village because my in-laws are there and have talked about this. Okay. So it's very cool. And I'm not sure exactly, so Alicia, is it that, are they paying an instructor? Is that what this is for?
You know, she did not complete the budget and uses sheet, so I don't.
Okay. Okay,
We need to know that, right?
yes, but
But apart from that
I love it.
small detail,
It's
we
really
just
cool.
don't rain on our parade more. It's got seniors, so she doesn't have to get income, right?
Yeah, yes, it's as long as yes, I think we can say the seniors are frail elderly if they're living in retirement or assisted living homes.
Yeah, I can take you to them if you wanna go to them. I think you'll come away with the same. I mean, frail seems a bit harsh.
Well,
Um,
that's the HUD term, is frail elderly assisted benefit, but yeah.
we fixed every other term, but we're still using frail. Okay, well, they're definitely, older and wiser. How does that sound?
Sure.
seasoned,
Yeah.
mature.
Vintage.
So you're awful quiet, Alicia. What's the
hiccup?
what's the hiccup?
This one doesn't have a hiccup.
Yes.
We just gotta get the budget. And she should be able to do
Yeah,
that.
I don't know what they're paying for, so, it's eligible, you can put it in, but we don't know what is being paid for out of this.
Yeah, my guess would be the instructors, but it's a follow-up essentially. But she went to, she's the one who took over for the longtime leader there, right? So she's actually like I think if I remember correctly from another world, I think she's got she went to IU, so we can trust her to an extent.
Yes, she's part one,
Yeah.
IU grad.
So,
That's
I
perfect.
think a Kelly school grad perhaps. But that could be wrong. I've forgotten a lot recently. I think the general take on this is that all of these or several of these have a lot of potential, but we've got to do some more distillation before we award any of these. Is that your advice, Alicia?
It is, but given our short timeline, I don't know, what is the group's expectations for people getting back with us to have corrected things?
So Alicia, can I ask a clarifying question? Everything needs to be in by August 15th. Does that mean we have, on July 15th, we need to put it out for public comment? Is that correct?
That's correct. And I have to be able to write the action plan before that.
Oh,
Well,
that's 24
It's
hours.
summer, and I think even the California ski resorts are closed. So unless you, like Livy, have the lake house too.
Yes, we can meet there.
Yeah, Lisa, come on up. Right.
So, what's our next step, Alicia?
we have to pick projects to be funded, and there's 200 and there's $43,000 of public service that you can give out, and there's $299,000 of other funding that you can give out for bricks and sticks type of activities, and it's got to be allocated so we can write about it in the action plan.
Okay, so we have, let's separate these out so that this is clear for you guys.
Thank you.
So, under the public services project types, we have $43,144 available, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so on this list, in the public services, there are two. Bridges Alliance, which asks for $23,000, and Dance Every Journey, which asks for $16,750.
Correct.
So, under the current scenario, we could fund both of those. So currently we have 2 projects, 2 applications, but our intention, and Kevin, stop me if I'm wrong, is to speak to Bridges,
About direct.
right. We need to get a completed budget from stage 1. We also thought we'd circle back with Harvest Food Pantry, who we've worked with, and also Our Lady of Greenwood Food Pantry. Those 2 didn't submit applications. We want to follow up and find out. Both of them were awarded $10,000 each last time.
Well, the Our Lady one's done what, Alicia, like 3 grants with us now through food pantries?
And
It's
so
been
did-
fun.
Well, Our Lady of Greenwood didn't get money for their food pantry. They didn't ask money for their food pantry. They did it for rent assistance this past year, and they haven't spent any.
Yeah, I meant historically.
I didn't read
Yes,
it.
historically, the food pantry's done really well.
So we were just curious, Kevin and I were talking about an hour ago and thought, oh, wait a minute, we should probably touch base with them.
But if we do
But if
these 2, we pretty much emptied out that bucket. Pretty close.
You've got another one, basically. If you did, you basically what it could do, and it's administratively a lot, but you could do, 3 of 15,000 each roughly, because you got 40 some.
Mhm.
So you could do Bridges, Dance Every Journey. We were trying to figure out one that could, fall within that other deal.
So if we granted them
But-
15,
Yeah, but the question
10
is
or
with
15.
Bridges is, Alicia, do you honestly think that it's gonna come in, or do you think since of this change in interpretation that it's on the outs? Through no fault of theirs, but through eligibility.
so can we agree that Dance Every Journey is a reasonable?
Yeah, I think it's contingent just upon a budget, we could.
Yeah,
Okay, so I'm gonna,
I think Dance
no.
Every Journey is good. Bridges Alliance, you could award it contingent on being able to develop a scope or a project description that meets eligibility under the new CDBG guidelines.
so, but,
The hard line part of me is, everyone knew this application was open. Why are we gonna proactively call someone else and dilute someone else who actually went through the process?
Yeah,
Sending it an
Fair enough.
I agree with that, and so we could just do the 2 fully. I just think on one hand, it's I love to see new people here and some new stuff. We're trying to grow
yeah,
nonprofits in northern Johnson County.
Right.
In some of these deals, and so I think there's gonna be some
so do you think we fund
fumbling.
Bridges, as long as we can, they don't realize that we're gonna throw them a curveball.
Yeah,
But I do think they reasonably respond, even though this past year they are late to the game, but that could be a
Requesting
staff.
and some.
Yeah, they haven't spent their money from last year. Is that right, Alicia?
No, we just did a claim for them this week.
Okay, so, but that's
Yes.
their first claim,
They're about halfway through.
and we're about halfway through, and they just filed their first claim.
But it was about half the money. It was
Oh,
5 out of
okay.
10 grand.
Oh,
Yeah,
Right,
they
Alicia?
spent about half their money. Again, I had to go back and forth with Leanne. She wasn't very responsive. It was a
wait,
bit of a
this is
challenge.
Habitat? Are you talking about Habitat?
Oh,
Leanne?
oh, no,
Bridges
there's a
Line.
different, Leanne Morris over at Bridges.
There are 2, Leanne.
What? We can only have one.
No, it's
Yeah.
K-Ann. It's K-Ann. K-Ann.
Oh, K.
Sorry.
Ann. Okay, that's all right. Okay, so, but we're halfway through the year. Bridges has spent half their money, so they are on track, actually.
No, we're not halfway through the year. We're almost done with the year. We're 3/4 of the way through.
We have until October, September 30th.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay. So okay.
So why don't we just award, my take on this is Dance Every Journey seems the cleanest. We can get, there's internet and beautiful Lake Schaefer, correct?
There is.
We can get Libby in on borrow her son's iPhone or whatever. And,
Yeah.
and
make
put her
sure
in. I don't know
Bob's in
where,
there.
you're not headed on a 2-month tour of the West again, are
We
you?
are staying here for a little while.
Okay, in the Strawberry Fest capital of,
Yeah.
Johnson.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Beautiful Euclid Avenue.
so do we award all of Bridges Line? Is that what we have to do? And then if,
It would be contingent. I mean, you
Sure.
could do those 2 contingent. The rest, remember, if we can get, which had the strongest application, but if you could turn and just do fee waivers or fare waivers for Access Johnson County, that also would be a service, right?
This
Alicia?
would-
It would fall into the 45,000, which is why I've said
Yep.
we might want to quit it at, the other 2 hard costs to me are not going to want to head down Davis Bacon any too soon. We can talk with them, but we always know as the city that, there's a long list of
So
improvements we can do too.
all right, so if we fund Dance Every Journey 100%, and it's not doing math for me. Alicia, I thought you did your magic. So let's just add them up.
And just highlight those 2, the
Yep.
16 points. It's gonna be
Is this-
it's $31,046,
Okay.
something like, no, 31,000 something. You just highlight those and they'll show you the answer down the bottom.
40,146.
Yeah.
Oh, can you put the sum of, but I can't see. 40, good, 40,000 of 44 or
43
43.
something.
Yeah.
Oh, it's moving real weird for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't
It's like
know.
not responding at all.
Oh.
She's got columns present.
Oh, there you go. So if you do those 2, Alicia, we've about put all the public service cap. And, since we've got a lot of work to do on that hard cost,
So
Well-
why don't we award less to Bridges Alliance so that if Gateway comes up with a,
so you just make it the same as,
just split the remaining. So award Dance Every Journey what they requested and then split the other.
So 43,115
Right,
minus 16,750
yeah.
divided by 2,
hmm
25,030.
What do you think about that?
25,030 to Bridges and Gate.
you
Hang
divide
on.
it in 2.
And Gateway will need that, unless it was just providing.
Wait,
I don't
No,
know.
he means 25,030 divided by 2.
25 divided by 2?
Yeah.
43.
Okay.
Based on divided by.
Okay. That's all right. All clear. 25030 divided by, 12 grand, 12.5,
12.5, yeah.
okay. Okay, so, and then the remaining, so right now, that's 43, good, okay. So that adds up. Why isn't that, she's somehow got,
Got a toggle on.
she does, she's got it frozen.
She froze me.
She did, okay, so we're at that, the services budget is complete. And then this becomes public service.
But I think we're gonna have to meet, and I will get some proposals from Rob and company. I think we're gonna have to meet on public facilities here in a couple weeks, when there's a time. So-
Yes, so we still have 287, 299.
Yeah.
Yeah, with prior years.
So you need to get to work.
Well, there's a couple things, just to be, so we funded last year we funded the restroom and shelter at Northeast Park. The shelter is already up. There's a different issue about that, but that's something different. The restroom is being manufactured. The trail is in, that was a prior year. The skate park is done. The next thing is, was the parking lot already funded last year? Or is that for this year, Leisha, that Rob was pitching that?
It's funded for 2022, but the environmental review hasn't been completed. There's some floodplain issues that Rob has to finish out, and then we're finishing the 106 review.
Yeah, Rob's been dealing with a pool issue recently, so.
A pool, that's just a hole in the ground.
Yeah, I wish
Yeah,
that was
I wish it were
concept.
just
So Rob's had some pool pricing to revise recently. I will beat him over the head, or I'll go to his person who actually does the work, Jen, and get that done.
yeah.
And we'll come back. There also was the idea in a meeting yesterday to potentially move to one of the other parks that is in these CDBGs, and it seems to be working in, I feel like that park's a lot nicer. I feel like the residents enjoy it, but Northeast Park, but moving to another one that would be eligible. I think Summerfield, West Side, ironically, is eligible.
Really?
Because it's in the, well, because it's in the, it's in the census district that goes up to the apartments, not that goes over to the Schwab, and Taylor, Santee,
West Side is up,
dynasties, yeah.
Schwab dynasty.
It doesn't go west, it goes north, if that makes sense.
It doesn't.
And it
but
doesn't even follow Howard Road, it follows 31, it follows the dead people up to the, two apartment complexes.
Okay.
No, it's just the truth.
It is true.
Yeah. So, but
So-
anyways, so we'll get with Rob and, long story short, talk about different options. And so do we need to make motions or whatever, Alicia, on these two public service deals?
I think so, to be compliant with the committee rules, yes.
Okay.
So we
I
need
forget what
a,
I'm supposed to say.
so we would need a motion from one of our two members for what's the amount that we decided for the dancing?
16,750.
The dancing for the frail, as Alicia said, 16,000.
Recorded.
It's, well, that is
Yes.
the official term used
By HUD.
by HUD
You're
to
right.
determine
There you go.
eligibility for infirm senior citizens as per the grant consultant. So it'd be dancing for senior citizens, $16,750, dance every journey.
So moved. And then
Aye.
for bridges and gateway, it's
12,500.
12,500 for each.
But I would say that those are
Contingent.
contingent on one eligibility of both. So the eligibility for we'll call it basically a ridership subsidy for Greenwood residents, right?
Yeah.
And then on Bridges Alliance, it would be
Direct.
direct cost
Direct.
compliant with new HUD interpretation.
Truth. One other thing, we have to keep in mind, which I didn't mention earlier, and I apologize, is United Way of Johnson County contacted me, and they are working on an application, and asked for an extension, which I replied and said, okay, how long of an extension? I haven't heard back from her, but I will call her after this meeting and say,
That's also public service.
no, I will tell her that their public service is allocated, and that if they in the past have done rental assistance and those programs, so I will let her know that there's money available for that type of thing, but nothing
Actually,
in
Molly, rental assistance is a public service. It would not be eligible.
Okay, then we have allocated all our money then.
So what is the 299? What is that? What's that category?
It's gotta be.
And you gotta build something with it. So it's gotta be, it's bricks and sticks.
Bricks
So,
and sticks, that's right.
bricks and sticks, so there are, then we don't have we don't have anyone besides these two.
So we'll do this briefly, just respect on time. We do have Promise, right, from the Habitat one, who's found an eligible house to do a fix up on, right, Alicia, or did that go south in the last week too?
Well, that's, the new income limits have not hit. That's 2 days from now.
Okay.
So
we've got some existing things that are.
that contract will have to be extended. So they have not spent any of their $50,000. That will have to be extended into the new year for them to keep
Continue.
using those funds.
So can I ask a question?
Sure.
Here at Gateway, we're not in Greenwood, obviously, but here at Gateway, we have an issue with our flooring that in the area where we serve people with disabilities. Is that considered bricks and sticks or no? If we wanted to upgrade that into something safer, like rubber.
Yeah, that's a
whatever.
bricks and sticks type activity. And when you're not in Greenwood, what we tend to do is just say we prorate it based on the number of people you serve from Greenwood. So if you serve 1,000 people and 500 of them are for Greenwood, we're half in, up to half in.
Okay. All right.
But
Thank you.
Kevin has mentioned several times there's Davis Bacon. So CDBG with construction, we're in for a penny, in for a pound. So if you're looking to do something like that, you need to be aware that there's additional costs associated with complying with those regulations.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got our resolutions. We're gonna talk to some of the people who've reached out and clarify. We're gonna talk to the Parks Department on Serena Way and maybe try to do another deal in, say, like 14 days, Alicia. And then would that give you enough time to finish up your deal in early July and then have the 30-day comment?
Well, I need to be able to start writing next week. So, I mean, we need to know what you want to fund by middle of next week. I mean, because I really wanted to start next week writing, Kevin.
Okay, so
And
we
that
will expedite our process, and give us, we know we've got these two public services, give us the next like 24 hours to create a plan, and then we will be back to fill the rest of them.
What about heaven earth spaces? You said something earlier, Alicia, about historic buildings and things. I mean, is that something that comes into play?
Well, so when you're using CDBG for renovations, you have to comply with a Section 106 review. And if it's a historic building, age, the State Historic Preservation Office could make sure that the windows would be of a historic nature or keep up with the appearance of the building.
So it could be used,
So,
but it has to be within guidelines.
yeah, within guidelines. So like that, regardless of whether it's been declared a historic building or on the historic preservation, what is that list? You still have to comply with, because CDBG makes you do that. So, the same thing with the tuck pointing, and it's got to be correct. So we just need to make sure that they're aware of that, that their construction team is aware of that, because I don't know if the 95,000 or the $120,000 estimate is accounting for that.
Enough. Okay,
Okay.
okay,
So we just need to let them know that.
yeah.
Maybe it's not even on the historic registry, who knows?
But I think she was saying it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, it's
Oh.
just the age of the building.
So we've got the two recommendations on the services. I don't think we're at a point where we can do any of the hard costs at this meeting. How, do we have to advertise these, how many hours in advance? 48?
Yeah, so do we have to advertise, if the committee meets again, do we have to advertise it as a public meeting?
So federally, we have the public hearings, and the question is there was rules that the attorneys put together for this committee. So we'd have to refer to those rules to see what is required.
Okay,
Okay, for a
So,
public meeting at the city.
I'll look at those.
Okay,
We will get this turned around within the next week, so you can start writing on the hard costs too, but we know we can start on this two soft costs with bridges and dance.
Yeah.
And,
Would you like me to reach out to Bridges on the case management issue?
yes.
Okay, I will do that.
Yes, if you lead the way in there, that way you can get them to the right categories and the right wording.
I'll get on the call with you. Let's get Leslie Doherty on the call too. Let's get someone from the board on the call. I think she reached out first. I know her personally. Let's get her on the call.
Okay.
So include me on it. I'll come in.
Okay.
And I won't even use any inappropriate words like Freya, like our consultant did.
Yeah. All right, so
So when do we
So
to follow
we're
up on
gonna
these
Zoom.
items?
We'll try to do a Zoom,
In a
next week
week.
sometime.
midweek,
This group,
yes.
okay.
And if you know of anyone who wants to be our third member,
Oh.
tell his names online.
Yes.
No, but I'll start thinking.
Is there anything else before we adjourn? Kevin?
Alicia, you're gonna be around later this afternoon?
I'm in a few meetings. I actually head downtown for 3:00, but other than that, I'm around.
All right, I'll try to touch base with you to make sure we get a plan going
Okay.
forward, because I do want to be sensitive of your time in getting the plan written so we can get it out.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. We can stop recording now.